Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alumni Spotlight podcast. I'm your host, Serena Thomas, and joining me today as co host is Anish Godse. Today's episode is extra special. We are joined by Mr. Shailesh Iyer, director at UBS Singapore, a finance professional whose career beautifully bridges engineering, data, and global wealth management. He started out as a manufacturing engineer at Godrej, pursued dual master's degree in industrial engineering from Georgia Tech and financial engineering from Stevens Institute of Technology, and went on to work at Credit Suisse and now UBS, where his focus is on investment advisory within wealth management. And yes, he is one of our own proud FRCRC production engineering alumnus, batch of 2007. We are thrilled to have you, sir, today. Thank you so much for joining.
So let's move on to the first section of the podcast, that is the college days and the early journey of Sir. So, sir, before we get into the finance world, let's take you down the FRCRC memory lane. So, if you could just highlight some of the funny memories or something that stands out from your days at FRCRC.
I don't. So thank you. Firstly, for those kind words, Serena and Anish. Thank you for having me. This first question, I don't think there's enough time to cover this question, but I think the top three memories that come to mind straight away off the bat is the iconic slope. You know, going uphill every day. You know, with the bus 211 bus dropping us downstairs and going up, slogging it out, and then yeah, the and then the workshop. So I was production engineer, so the workshop, even during the weekends and stuff. So I can never forget that. The second is um, playing for the football team. So I straight away played for the football team from the first year itself. And it has been a rewarding experience playing with some really good, footballers within college, and then went on to playing with them in club level, etc. All of that. I think the third point is basically sitting for the lectures. I mean, it may sound a bit, reaching out to the professors per se, but honestly, it was entertainment and at the same time learning. Both happened in the class, right? So um, uh, I don't know if you all got to experience, but we had Dr. Iyer, Dr. Mohandas, Dr. Bilolikar, the late Dr. Nag Chaudhary, and Dr. Vijay Kumar. These are some of the professors that straight away come to my mind, have really, cemented, in my head a lot, right? So they were part of, my formative years at least, right? So yeah.
Yeah. And now that you mentioned that lectures were a vital point at your days at FRCRC, were there any values that you gained or picked up from engineering, and now that you have moved into a different aspect into the finance world, are they still applicable to you or something that you can highlight for us?
Look, the thing is that the lectures were really, really great. I think I moved on from CBSE to now to engineering then, right? So for me, the change and even I changed geographies as well, right? So for me, the change was pretty big. And taking it all in was a challenge in the start. But I quickly cemented myself with a lot of deep friendships in college, right? Now the learnings that I had from the sirs and ma'ams that taught us was, we had a lot of analytical skills developed during this time. See, I understand our education may be a bit rote learning that way, but unless you don't dive into the deep end of the technicalities of the subjects that you're learning, then there's no point otherwise, right? So for me, the analytical skills got developed because of that, right? Getting into the deep end of the stuff that we learned, right? And I think the second thing for me, what I learned was patience. I didn't know till later, but I actually learned a lot of patience, over there, and self belief.
Oh, yeah. So at CRC, we have a mix of curriculum and extracurricular activities. Like you might remember Euphoria, our technical fest, Crescendo, etc.
Yeah,
So how
yeah.
did you? So some memory about the fest or something about the balance between
I
curriculum
mean,
and
I
extracurricular.
mean, you're asking me. I don't even know if this is a thing right now, but the only three words that come to my mind is production, production, production. That's what we would shout our lungs out every time when we had Euphoria. I think we had our thing in Shanmukananda Hall as well. I don't know if that's the thing that's being done even now today. Is it? Do you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's still there.
it's still Shanmukananda Hall, is it?
No,
Okay.
no,
It keeps on changing, but a few years back it was still there.
Okay, okay, yeah. So I mean, look, we were all part of those cultural events. It's a great place to bond with people, get to know a lot of people. I got to know a lot of my seniors either through football or through this. There was these two places that I got to know a lot of them. So I think it's a great place to hang with your seniors and understand a bit what's coming your way the next year, right, or the next 2 years. Yeah, it's important to have cultural events are very important to have for students for their learning and then of course the educational based events as well, which I'm sure there must be something that's going on right now. Crescendo was during our time, right? I mean, is that still going on?
So we
yes.
finished Crescendo about 3 weeks back.
Okay, okay, that's nice. That's fantastic. Okay, so I'm happy to listen in and learn about that. Maybe after this podcast.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, sure.
And now that you have studied in India and US as well, so how would you
Mm.
compare the learning culture or the teaching style in both places?
That's a tough one. I mean, come on. Like you're asking me to compare the education systems between the two countries. Yeah. Come on, that's hard. Okay, so let's do this, right? So what I experienced, and I don't know if that's the case now, right? Because I don't know how are the exams still conducted the way they were that 10-15 years back. It's the same way, right? You got some textbooks that you got to learn from, and then
Now that the college has become autonomous, I think the culture has changed a little bit.
got
So
it, got it. Okay, okay.
question,
So I'm trying to be as thematic as possible, right? So during my time, it was more about rote learning, as it were. I think there's nothing wrong in that, in my view. There are different schools of thought over there, but the point is that there was we had practical application. Look, the workshop is a very clear example for us. Carpentry is a very clear example for us in production engineering, right? But I just wish that I had more than what I had, um, you know, uh, at that time, right? Um, when I went to the US, over there, practical was front and center, right? They expected you to learn all the theory, and because it's all there in the notes or whatever else that they provided, right? But the practical is what they expected you to do on your own, learn on your own, fall on your own, pick yourself up. And I wish we did more of that. That's the thing. But the other side of the coin is, I mean, this is something I experienced. It's again very personal, right? I felt like the professors here were, here meaning in India, way more approachable, way more friendly. We had a lot of banter with Dr. Iyer and Dr. Mohandas and Dr. Vijay Kumar. I mean, they will still tell stories if they were, in college about us and our batch, right? So it's something that a good bond that professors and students shared together. We were very close.
Okay, great. And like you mentioned, right, you had a transition from production engineering to finance. So, how was that transition like, and what were some of the challenges that you faced during those phases of your life?
Yeah, that's an interesting one actually. So look, as a kid, I was always inclined towards math. All right, and I didn't know what I wanted to do once I finished grade 12. And my father was like, hey, just do engineering and keep it simple, mechanical, production, whatever, jo bhi milega, chalega. Just keep it evergreen. Don't do all this. I was into aerospace, मेरे को इतना sixer मारना था and all that. Luckily, I listened and I ended up here, right? After that, I'm again a very stereotypical kid, as most kids are, maybe even today. Hey, मुझे masters करना है, मुझे US जाना है. And I want to make the big bucks. That's the ultimate aim, right? I mean, the job is a means to an end. The degree is a means to an end for the job, which will get you the money to be happy at the end of the day. So, yeah, went to the States, pursued the industrial engineering degree in Georgia Tech. And then lo and behold, I was right in the middle of this, global financial crisis, which I never expected. No one did, right?
Yeah.
It was a glory heydays of the banking world, if you will, right? So when I graduated, there was basically no jobs. There was nothing whatsoever, and I had some time to think about what I want to do: either pack my bags and come back, or pursue another master's, right? So um, this was something on my mind because finance was something I always wanted to learn about. Okay, so um, I then decided to pursue a master's in financial engineering, and I didn't stop from there on. Right, I mean, it was easier to do the second one than the first one because the first one was also a cultural change. You're going to a new country and all of that, right? The second one, it was smooth sailing. I really enjoyed doing the second one, actually.
But usually people don't go for a dual degree, right? So you didn't.
Absolutely. I mean, not everyone. Yeah. Look, I'll be very blatantly honest. It is not everyone's cup of tea. Neither it is everyone's within everyone's means to do something like that. The point here is that I still wanted to learn, right? So within your realm of what you can do, the question is that whether you are still ready to learn or not, right? Or you know what? Hey, I'm done. I want to pack now. I want to start working, doing the A to B to C that we do at our in our daily lives at work, right? So yeah, I wasn't done. That's the honest thing. So yeah, I didn't want to return because I didn't feel like I was finished.
Great. And since you've worked both, right, at Credit Suisse as well and UBS as well right now, so what were the experiences that you've had that shaped your current life, and what did you learn from those experiences?
Look, I mean, with Credit Suisse, look, firstly, my entire experience is Credit Suisse. We just got acquired in 23, so 2 years in UBS now. So, I mean, at the end of the day, these 13 years was Credit Suisse, but now also UBS. Yeah. I think within this company, right, the best part about being part of a big MNC, and this will be the case pretty much across the board. Okay, you get to work in many teams. You don't, you you should not isolate yourself in a specific team. This is just my view because I like to learn a lot, right? So in my first 7 to 8 years of experience, I was basically in investment banking. Where I was basically a trader assistant and supporting the traders, whether it's in London, whether it's in Hong Kong, but predominantly Europe and Asia, because Americas, the hours in India for Americas is pretty nuts. So I did not want to do that to myself, right? So um, it was excellent learning experience, and I always had the dream to go on shore, be a trader, and that was my aim. But where the company was going, where investment banking was going, was not to be, right? And that's where I then pivoted to private banking in 2019, right? And that's when I realized, okay, hey, there are other ways to fulfill yourself professionally, um, and that's how I'm now where I am here. I am still learning. And the point here that I'm trying to say is that change is the only constant that we have in our lives. I know it sounds very cliche, yeah, but it's really the reality. I've only faced change. Uh, four teams now, 4 teams or maybe 5 teams now, considering I've changed my role now again. Um, it's been fun. So it's been a great ride.
Great. And nowadays in our my batch as well, right? We are more inclined towards getting into fintech. Like I know a lot of my friends who want to get into fintech, but they don't know that what are the qualities that are required as a fresher if I had to apply in a fintech company. So,
Mm.
what do you think are the qualities or the skills or any courses that a fresher should do?
Look, there are 2 3 things I want to say about this. Okay, so one is firstly, look, every single person will come to the interview with a degree. Now, I'll say this from the lens of what I experienced when I was interviewing all of the interns for the internship in UBS last year when we picked up one of your guys, one of your seniors, Samarth, if you remember him, right? Samarth Vaishnav. The point here is that everyone is going to have a degree. Everyone at the end of the day is going to finish the degree. What is the delta between you and the next person is the real juice in the conversation, right? How are you able to convince someone that you can do more than what the other person can do? So, and within the realm of what you all are doing, right? So, number one is the kind of projects that you take up, right? And the contribution in the projects. What did you do to make sure that the project reached the finish line? You need to effectively communicate that to whomever you are speaking to, right? That's number one. Number two is, of course, you've got to do something over and above your degree. It's on the side. You have to do it. There's no, that's sorry, but that's the reality. With the population explosion, we really need to. It's a race. Everyone has to do, a lot more studying, a lot more picking up of side skills, etc. All of that stuff, right? So yeah, I mean, for fintech, I think I would say number one for me, the one that I didn't do was CFA. I would love that if people already, began with doing, CFA, at least level one. You can easily clear level one whilst you're doing your engineering on the side, right? It shows initiative, it shows drive, it shows the hunger, right? And then, of course, while you're doing your engineering, you're already learning programming as well. So, yeah, these are the two main things to pursue while you're doing your engineering.
And know what kind of projects do you like look for in the resume? Like,
I mean, look, firstly, going after the guys. Look, again. I'll speak about what we were going after. We really wanted to see initially about how we can develop LLM and AI, etc. over here itself in India, right? Uh, and we kick off with a every organization will start at like, okay, hey, let's start with interns, let's see how this goes. No one has like a 5 10 year plan of what's going to happen and stuff, right? Now everyone's on the AI plan, so or AI ship, right? So yeah, we hired these couple of interns, one from CRCE and one from SPGen, right? What I was looking for was what was being done, what was the applicability of what they did, and how we can use that for our use cases in the organization. I had actually pitched all of this when we were doing that session before for the pre-selected candidates. If you guys know, right, there was a presentation that I had done to all of them, right? So it was very targeted and very we were looking for a very specific use case. So yeah, I mean, if it is there in the projects, then great. Otherwise, you will say that, okay, hey, then how do we do it, right? So the point here is uh, you don't know. You don't know which project would work out for you, right? At the end of the day, you just have to do the projects to the end, fully detailed as much as possible.
Yeah, I think that was great. So, how do you balance your technical depth uh, along with the client focused communication in your leadership role?
Yeah, that's a very loaded question, right? So, look, I think in a nutshell, for that one, what I would say is when when we are communicating to clients, right? Not everyone is on the same playing field in terms of technicalities. If I start talking about the various financial ratios and stuff, they'll just they'll just probably not even read it, right? You need to understand what is the kind of clients that you're communicating to. This again is, you can draw parallels from this into your normal day-to-day conversations as well. When you're having a group discussion, you can easily see into people's eyes that, hey, I can see two, three people just checking out of the conversation because I'm talking something and वो सर के ऊपर से जा रहा है, बाउंसर जा रहा है और नहीं समझ में आ रहा है. So I need to pause, I need to stop, and then I need to redo it in a better way, right? So this is very essential, right? Now, how does that happen in a digital world? I think honestly, over the years, attention span has reduced, if you ask me. Right? Today, if I send you both or the students, if I send you a two-pager on why I think any company that you should invest in, you'd be like, hey, ChatGPT, can you please summarize what Shailesh has sent us? I don't want to read this and I don't want to tell him that I didn't read it or whatever, right? That's what you're going to do, right? We need to be able to already preempt that, because otherwise what I've done is useless, right? So that is where this is all going, right? So I guess yeah, I mean, long story short, you need to know how to read the room, and you need to know the context of what you're doing, right? And that's where the lines are between technicality and then effectively communicating, right? Everyone likes a good tech. I interviewed a couple of technical guys from college, but no, like it's too technical, right? You need to come out and say overarchingly to me, right? So that's where you have to understand from the room.
Right. And sir, given that fintech right now it deals with extremely sensitive data, right? Many people wonder how are companies handling the integration of LLMs and AI safely. So, how do firms like UBS balance innovation with compliance and data privacy in this new AI-driven era?
This is a very these are very intelligent questions, by the way, guys. I just want to commend you, by the way, right? It's a very good and very thematical and current. I like that question also. This one especially, right? So as you can imagine, obviously our client data is mainly the data that's very confidential, right? So for me, it's basically a no-brainer, right? So there's two facets to it, right? So one is, and I think you may have even guessed it, right? So where the client data is, we do not, want to have third-party applications or third-party LLMs coming in and doing their stuff. That's never going to happen. It's across all the banks. Probably never will happen. Okay. And this is my take on it. Don't take me as gospel, by the way, right? So this will be basically for processes where you wanna do you wanna handle client data. You want to answer a question. Okay, hey, what does what do we think that Serena is going to invest in next based off of her trading patterns? What do we think Anish is going to do with his house now that the leverage on his portfolio has increased? These are the kind of thematical questions that will come out of the models that are being developed, right? And for the client advisors to get then go and advise these clients accordingly, right? The other facet to this is your processes that are non-client data specific, right? For that, we have Copilot. For that, we have a lot of third-party applications. I use Copilot every day, to make my content writing as quick as possible, as sharp as possible, crisp as possible. We also have internally developed application, because at the end of the day, we don't only want to rely on a Microsoft or any other company, right? We wanna do it ourselves. So we have a massive AI factory here in Singapore. A lot of engineers in our office here, developing various applications in this race for who's going to have the best AI based solution, so to speak.
So I wanted to also ask, add up on this
Hmm.
point that companies like UBS, so the models which are developed like by companies like OpenAI, they are very competent in the market. So, do companies use their models and run them locally so that the data isn't leaked, or UBS develops their own models, or does it fine tune the available models and run it locally?
Yeah, so I mean, this is the really not fully up my alley, but I would say that we would probably have. I mean, the logical way would be that we would have probably licensing agreements, just like how OpenAI has had with Broadcom or the other companies where they're tying up to build these AI chips and stuff, right? As you may have read in the news. So um, I believe that we will have such agreements in place, and we would not no company would just go ahead and hey, just copy something explicitly, and stuff like that. So either agreement, or if it's open source, then you might as well, then you can use it, right? It's just like R versus MATLAB, for example, right? So if it's open source, then there's no harm using it. So on our platform, we don't do OpenAI, we don't have Perplexity, and all that. So we have a tie up with for Copilot, and we are developing a lot of internal applications.
Great. And recently at CRC, we have actually launched a fintech council, which is called as Biznance, which is business plus finance.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, how valuable do you think such a council is, and how can
No,
we leverage it right now so that people get real exposure?
I mean, I wish you told me before the podcast that this actually existed, right? So because firstly, this sounds like a wonderful initiative, right? And I want to know, actually, seriously want to know the details, after this podcast about what this council does or what are the initiatives, that you all are doing, right? I think, honestly, on a high level, for me, having such programs, which in college, which help students to get ready for real life scenarios, is what companies would love to see, right? So it looks like you already have the makings of something there. It's just that I don't know what that is, and maybe we can speak about it, and see how we can. Develop it further. I'm very interested in contributing into the success of the students getting a role, in the industry, especially in finance. I mean, that's my forte. I cannot help in any other places. I can help connect people, but that's it.
Great.
Yeah, and I think every professional journey has its turning points. So, could you share a challenge or a setback that gave you a nice lesson or taught you something important?
Look, I think we may have covered this before, but I think the most important lesson I've learned is to be adaptable. I'm actually I'm quite stubborn in nature, but this was the hand that I was dealt. So seriously, change is really the only constant for me. And as I mentioned earlier, right, like I began my career in investment banking, and then in 2019, I could already see that Credit Suisse's investment banking arm was not looking good. We had like 2 years of really bad business. I have faced, no bonuses, no increments. It was not looking good at all. I mean, the writing was on the wall. Any mature person can see that this is coming. So I instantly, look for internal mobility, and I'm really thankful that both Credit Suisse and UBS have a very excellent internal mobility program, right? So was able to move very quickly to private banking. Yeah, thankful for that.
Great, great. And now that we talked about AI and how we can do things in just clicks using AI, what is
Mm.
your advice for students to remaining competent in this AI-driven world where there are thousands of employees being laid off recently, and also something about continuous learning, how one should be adaptable, as you said yourself.
I mean, like, I think the question has an answer in it already, but nevertheless, the point here you learning is there on one side for sure, but also marketing yourself to people is very important. Okay, communication is very important. What I faced when I was interviewing with people was that I felt communication was lacking. Okay, and I think that that is a serious thing that needs to be improved. You know, the second thing is initiative. Right now, I get like a bazillion requests on LinkedIn from CRC students, right? Which is fine. It's okay. You connect. It's totally fine. I accept also because I know that you can't send a note to everyone because you don't have premium or whatever, right? Okay, fine. I've accepted. But then what else after that? Am I supposed to say something, or is this are the students supposed to tell me something? You need to understand how to take the conversation forward. That's the main thing. What is it? What is in it for you? What do you want? And also straight away getting down to the thing is also not really nicely looked upon, but then I understand, right? So there are a few students who have gotten to in touch with me and been like, okay, hey, I'm looking for an internship, I'm looking for this, can you help me? Happy to help. I've even helped them with their CVs. So I think the point here is um, AI learning, all that is fine. You upskill yourself technically, fantastic. But if you don't tell people about it, you don't speak to people, no one is going to come and help you get a job. You have to do it yourself. That's as simple as that.
Yeah, I think you answered it perfectly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm calling a spade a spade. That it's as simple as that. Yeah.
If there's someone who has currently acquired a job and he's planning to gain some work experience and then he's planning to learning on some new skills, so how can he go about with it?
Okay, I'm glad you asked this question, Anish. And again, very good question that you guys have been asking. This is something I really wanted to cover. Look, big multinational corporations, right? They have a lot of budget to improve their employees' levels, right? Through these certifications, through Coursera, through charters like the CFA or CAIA, etc. Okay, it is true. Like big MNCs will end up then funding for education, provided it is pertinent, right? Now, I want to do something in, let's say, cooking or whatever else, then my manager is going to be like, have you lost it, right? So
Yeah,
we are not funding that. You do it, but we are not funding that, right? So it has to be pertinent to your professional area of where you're, working as, right? And whether it will enhance enhance your contribution. So, I mean, in short, basically, you can fund some of these certifications um, through the MNCs, of course, provided it is pertinent, provided there is budget, right? And yeah, it can be done. But that doesn't mean that hey, I'm landing up for the interview and going to tell this person, hey, you will only fund my CFA, so I'm not going to do it. You know, that doesn't work like that, right? Anyone and everyone should think that. At least a student should think that so show some initiative and kick off CFA one, level one by myself, learn by myself or whatever, take classes, etc. But you have to take the start and the initiative. And then after that it can be sorted.
yeah, I think the students needed to know this and it was a great point.
Yeah.
And if you could like go back in your college time and give yourself an advice, what would it be?
Oh, that's uh I think for me, I don't believe in regrets. So I think what I tell my younger self is, man, you have no idea what kind of a ride you're in for. Just buckle up and enjoy it. That's it. Nothing else. Really. And then of course, I mean, I didn't do the CFA, but maybe it doesn't matter. I'm still here at the end of the day without a CFA. I got a MS in FE. So yeah, doesn't matter.
So I think let's move on to a fun segment, the quick fire round. So
No.
So could
Am
you
I
tell
getting in
us
trouble?
one?
We'll find out soon.
Okay.
So could you suggest one book, podcast, or something you like you would recommend to the students at CRC?
Oh, okay.
Quick fire.
Look, I'm a okay. So quick fire. I cannot even think, right? Okay, so there's a lot of things that come to my head, but I think I'll keep it short. It's Leading by Alex Ferguson, his
Yeah,
biography.
Okay.
great. So a daily habit that keeps you sharp.
Action list. I have an action list every day.
Okay. So your go-to stress buster,
Football, very
football.
easy. Yeah.
So the best career advice you have ever received.
It's the three P's: patience, perseverance, persistence.
Great. And finally, one word that describes your journey or one phrase that describes your journey.
I just said it. Roller coaster.
Ah, roller.
Roller coaster.
Sorry, strap in for the rides. I didn't say roller coaster. You're right. Roller coaster of a ride. Yeah. So roller coaster is my answer.
Yeah. Great, great. You did really well.
Uh, So I think,
No, so sorry. So if I may just say a few words, right? So I think what I want to say, at least to the students, if I can, is that
Sure.
please feel free to reach out to whoever seniors that you want, that you see is pertinent. ये Microsoft में काम कर रहा है, ये IBM में काम कर रहा है. We are all here to help because the moment we see CRCE, I'm telling you, the people are ready to help. Okay, so reach out, have an action plan. Don't come with only problems. मैं क्या करूं, ये क्या करूं. Don't have some thoughts first, and then the seniors will more than happily guide you. We are here to help. Okay, and I'm sure by saying this, I'll probably be inundated with further requests, and I'm happy to help. I have tried to place as many as I can with wherever. But my point here is that it's important to be connected, um, and expressing yourself is key. So sharpening your technical skills is one thing. Communication is absolutely key. You guys will think it's like, what is this guy saying? Everyone knows to speak English. No, you would be shocked. We speak Hindi a lot, actually. Switching to Hindi is insane. That needs to all the MNCs, it's all English, right? So because you have stakeholders across the globe, you can't you can't be like in the middle. Arey, ruko. You can't say that. You have to say, excuse me, just wait for a minute, right? So yeah, just the basics. I just wanted to chime in on that. Yeah.
sure. Actually, last time we had Hoshang here, right? So even he
Hmm.
focused more on like, you should have good communication skills. And he
Oh,
realized that
okay.
after 10 years of his, employment and everything, when he got into
Correct.
finance and when he had to pitch, basically sell himself so that, the clients would understand and, so
Correct. So for me, that was the thing. I mean, like this is my first job in Credit Suisse. I've never left, and now UBS. So, uh, but we are dealing with non-Indians, like Asian traders, European traders. I mean, and then now wealth over here now with product managers, advisory and sales. Hopefully, speak to clients. Multicultural, right? You can't not express yourself adequately. It's if it's stuck in your head, then you're finished, right? So important to express yourself. Practice makes perfect if that's a struggle, but yeah.
so I think that brings us to the end of this podcast. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Iyer, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing such thoughtful insights. Your journey from engineering to global finance and your thoughts on adaptability, AI, and upskilling truly resonate with our generation. We are grateful for your time and your advice. It's been both eye opening and inspiring. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the Alumni Spotlight podcast. Stay curious, stay ambitious, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.